In the previous episodes, it became clear that to complete my challenge, I need Fame. I need to focus on leveling up my masteries and specs. But this turned out to be much more difficult than I imagined. Welcome to my quest to get 100 kills as fast as possible on a new account. My zero to villain journey. One main reason why I need to fame farm is to be more efficient with my resources. Using higher tier items with low specs can be a terrible waste of silver. You pay a lot, but you are still weak. But this fire staff I came across quickly reminded me of another reason why fame can be important. I don't have my spells unlocked. I don't have deflecting spin or impaler yet, and I cannot win this fight on cripple. These kinds of turret builds that like to stand in one place and just do a lot of damage like the Q1 fire staff are some of Spear's worst enemies. So instead of contesting this objective, I'm forced to go back to hitting mobs, where I very quickly come across a pretty big problem with fame farming, and that is an emotional one. I cannot hold myself back from running around looking for PvP. It's almost like I'm addicted. I'm addicted to this feeling of risk and the potential of getting some big and unexpected rewards, both in terms of silver and dopamine. And this addiction quickly leads me to taking this fight against Boltcasters. This is another matchup where I desperately need to have deflecting spin, especially when he's using the auto fire Q. It's really good against that. At the very least, I would love to have Impaler to do some damage from far and not having to commit right away. But I only have Cripple, and even though I remove his silence with my cleanse and use my E to interrupt his E, I do not have enough damage to compete meaningfully with this Boltcasters. He still has his Gig Pot ready to go as well. The smart decision for me here would be to run away, hit mobs until I unlock deflecting spin, which is like 1 or 2 levels away, and then take these types of fights. But instead, I try to change my boots to dash to have some extra damage and go again. With this approach, I need to be decisive and full commit to a brawl while keeping my E to interrupt his E. But his Gig Pod, his overwhelming damage and my slight indecision combine for a hopeless and painful ending. If I had to take this fight again, I would change my jacket to invisibility. Although Inferno is really strong against these high damage builds, against these Boltcasters specifically, I could have used my Invis to either cancel out his soldier armor or to cancel his E without having to commit my E. Back in Fort Sterling, I buy another 4.2 set. It costs me around 150,000 silver and it seems pretty reasonable, so I can continue fame farming and trying to get some kills. However, I'm realizing that fame farming is much slower and more difficult than I thought. And instead of going for 70 specs and masteries before upgrading myself to tier 7, I am lowering that now to 50. So my goal is to get 50 specs in my spear and chest piece at least before I start buying tier 7 items and going out with more expensive gear. On this chest, I find 2 sword players. Swords are an enemy against whom I'm very happy to just be on cripple even after the recent nerf. And against Clarent Blade specifically, the cripple nerf actually was kind of a buff. He has a hard time deciding if he's taking this fight or not, while I'm already counting my profits in my head. Just one more E and this fight is over, but the dual swords that dismounted originally to loot the chest, the worst thing happens. He actually decides to participate and shows up at exact time to steal the last hit in front of my eyes. And now I'm too low to take this 1v1 without resetting, so I start running away to create space. I should have just enough mobility to get away and I can still take this fight if I reset, but the mists are really full today, and instead of sweet freedom, I find a not so sweet curse staff. If I'd known that the dual swords player will just turn around and run away, I could have mounted using the 15-second cooldown of this curse, but instead I attack him and I have signed my own death warrant now. Even without using his E, he becomes the new owner of my items. But that was fun. I love these scrappy, unclear PvP situations in Mists. I get messages from people expressing their frustration about dying a lot in PvP, and I understand that. I've been there as well. But consider that if you're only enjoying PvP based on whether you die or you kill or make profits, maybe there's something you're still missing. It can be really fun regardless of the result, like with these situations that I'm experiencing. But there's just one problem. My fame farming is really not progressing at all. Playing this challenge is helping me realize something important. In my guides, I talk a lot about Spear's versatility and choosing the correct W and using it in different fights, but it actually takes a long time to unlock all the Ws. I'm now wondering how many beginners have seen one of my guides, picked up Spear and then lose a bunch of fights because they don't even have access to Impaler and then just give up on it. Especially after the recent cripple nerf, having Impaler and deflecting spin seems almost critical to be able to handle certain PvP situations on the Spear. And fame farming without premium, which is what I'm doing on this account, is pretty slow. Even if you're not as easily distracted by PvP as I am, it can take days. And on top of this, I'm experienced. When I play Mists or even open world, I don't generally die until I want to take a risk on purpose. But for a beginner, that's not the case. A beginner has to choose to either get much lower fame per hour in safe zones, or get decent fame but be constantly on edge and often die from PvP. There's no premium boost, there's no fame credits, I cannot spare the silver to use auto respec or a satchel. I kind of have a newfound respect for every new Albion player that undertakes this journey and has to fame up a new weapon or new set of equipment that they want to play. Something you might have experienced in your own life is that when you stop chasing after girls, somehow it feels that they start seeking you out instead. And just like that, when I stopped forcing PvP to happen, kills somehow started coming to me on their own. First, this battle axe. Since I crippled his Wanderlust, this is a free fight for me. If I win, I can always finish the kill. If I lose, I can always run away. Next up we have these dual swords. This is a matchup where the new cripple is actually not that bad, but of course the key to this was the fact that I was able to dodge his E's. The Nightfall Abbey holds many surprises, one of which is this 4.1 Masterpiece Light Crossbow. This is not a good matchup for Spear, especially with the new cripple, but I have a better buff, and notice how using Wanderlust changes the fight. I crippled his Wanderlust and there are no mobs for him to use caltrops, so I have all the time in the world to just patiently wait for all of my spells to be ready again to go for the final brawl. I'm supposed to be fame farming, but instead I run around bullying people. And this tier 8 overcharged chill how this mounts on top of me. He gets the 15-second cooldown, which in my brain means free kill. I have to use this and attack him, but unfortunately I find out pretty quick that if your enemy's IP is twice as high as yours, even the 15 seconds doesn't really help much. I took barely 1/3 of his HP and he still has his cultist robe ready to heal up if he ever needs it, so this fight is absolutely hopeless. But luckily my jacket is on invisibility, so I'm able to create enough space to get away and hopefully mount up. Keeping your assassin jacket on invis and then only changing to inferno for fights is a pretty good strategy in general to survive in the mists or the open world. Epic turbulent wisp just for me. Don't mind if I do. This is very nice fame, gives me some favor, and I might actually unlock Brazilian if I continue like this. Took another small break from fame farming to check out a turbulent wisp, and this mist is surprisingly full of people. I wasn't going to PvP, I was going to kill mobs, but I can't get away from this opportunity. I get this mounted to try to finish off this pretty nice sleepcaster. He was worth a decent amount of silver. The dual swords player stole one of my kills earlier, and this time it's my turn to swoop in just at the critical moment to be able to deal the last hit and record kill number 8. But now everything is on cooldown now and I might be in trouble, but luckily 100 curse staff has absolutely no mobility, and the other bolt casters player doesn't even try to chase me with caltrops, instead they fight each other. Very nice. I've looted about 4 times the value of my set, so a very obvious smart decision here would be to mount up and take it to the bank for the future. But if you've learned something about me from today's episode, is that I am not very smart when it comes to silver. The irresistible urge to participate in PvP drags me back just in time to nab another nice last hit on the curse staff that tried to kill me earlier. But now I'm low HP and in combat, and it's my arch nemesis, the brawler gloves. If you saw the last episode, you know what I'm talking about. Can I escape? This time I have actual sprint in my boots, so I have decent mobility. The brawler gloves player actually cannot catch up to me, but the mobs that I've been farming for the last hours decide to take revenge. This means that I lose a decent amount of nice loot that would have helped me progress in the challenge. This is a clear setback. But once again, this messy cluster of a PvP situation was really fun. And I got 2 kills from this, which means that I'm almost 10% done towards my overall goal of 100 kills. This is my villain origin story. And in this mist, I realized that a real villain does not wear mercenary hood. It is a cheap non-artifact item which is useful in every situation, but it is not an item for a true killer like I'm trying to become. This new fire staff that I accidentally came across would have been a wonderful addition to the list of my kills. I need Stalker Hood. In the future, if I get a lot of silver, I might still go for a Helmet of Valor for this challenge, but right now I'm going to start using Stalker Hood. And may this tier 6 Great Nature Staff be a reminder to all of us. Nobody out there is safe. If you have ideas or suggestions on how I can achieve my quest to get 100 kills as fast as possible, leave them in the comments below. But for now, 10% of the challenge is done, and I'll see you in the next one.